Hello everyone, my name is Evan Braley. I am an instructor here at Mathnasium of Hamilton Mountain. Today I am making a quick instructional video regarding the cake method. So the cake method is a way to find the greatest common factor or the lowest common multiple in a given series of numbers. So when we discuss greatest common factor, we are referring to the largest number that is a factor of the numbers in the set. And when we talk about lowest common multiple, we are referring to the smallest number, which is a multiple of all of the numbers in the set. You can see with my diagrams here, the reason it's called a cake method, it looks a little bit like an upside down cake, the way they have it formatted here. So we'll get right into the examples. We're going to start off by trying to find the greatest common factor. I want to find the greatest common factor between 36, 72, and 84. My first step is to always ask myself, are there any common factors which are common between all three of these numbers? In this case, it is three numbers. I know that 36, 72, and 84 are all even, which tells me that they're all divisible by 2. Now, instead of saying divide by 2, I'm going to think of taking half. Taking half may be a little bit simpler for you to think of. So I know I can divide by 2. I'm going to write that 2 on the outside here. Any numbers which I divide out go on the outside, and the remaining numbers drop down to the next layer of the cake. So half of 36 is 18. Half of 72 is 36. And half of 84 is 42. Now look at these three numbers, 18, 36, and 42. I can do the same thing. They're all even numbers, which means they can all be split in half. Once again, I write the 2 on the outside, and I take half of each of the numbers. Half of 18 is 9, half of 36 is 18, and half of 42 is 21. Now in this step, 9, 18, and 21, they're not all even numbers, so they can't be divisible by 2. However, I know that all these three numbers are divisible by 3. So I'm going to write my 3 on the outside, and I'm going to divide each of the numbers by 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3. 18 divided by 3 is 6. 21 divided by 3 is 7. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to multiply all of the numbers which I wrote on the outside. I'm not going to worry about the numbers down here. That's used for lowest common multiple. Only the numbers on the outside when we're talking about greatest common factor. So the greatest common factor, 2 times 2 times 3, that's equal to 12. Now when I'm finding lowest common multiple, it's very similar start. Let's find the lowest common multiple between 18, 24, and 108. Once again, these are all even numbers, so I can take a 2 and put it on the outside there, and then take half of each of the numbers. 18, half of 18 is 9, half of 24 is 12, half of 108 is 54. Now the difference with lowest common multiple is that the common factor does not have to be between all three of the numbers. If necessary, it can be between only 2 of the numbers. In this case, there is a common factor of 2 between 12 and 54, but not with 9 because 9 is not an even number. So what I do for the next step is just bring the 9 down to the next layer. Okay, and we'll worry about it later. I'm going to take half of 12 and write my 2 on the outside here. I'm going to take half of 12, which is 6, and half of 54, which is 27. Now I am on this layer here, 9, 6, and 27. Now I can take out 3. They're not all divisible by 2, but they are divisible by 3. So I will write my 3 on the outside and divide each of the numbers by 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. 27 divided by 3, that's 9. Okay. Now my final step here, I'm going to take out any common factor that I can. In this step, I can only take the common factor out of 3 and 9 because 2 cannot be divided by 3. However, 3 and 9, they can both be divided by 3. So I write my 3 on the outside here. I bring the 2 down to the next layer, and I divide the rest of my numbers by 3. 3 divided by 1 is 1. or sorry, 3 divided by 3, my apologies, is 1. And 9 divided by 3 is 3. So now I have this big cluster of numbers here. What do I do? How do I find my greatest or lowest common multiple? What I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply all of the numbers on the outside, just like in greatest common factor. However, I'm going to include the numbers in that very bottom row. Once there is nothing left to take out, nothing left to divide, I'm going to include those numbers when I multiply. In this case, the lowest common multiple is 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 times 1 times 2 times 3. And if you were to solve that, it would give you the answer of 216. Now, 216, that is the lowest common multiple between 18, 24, and 108. You notice with both of these, it does not require listing out all the factors and listing out all the multiples. It is a much simpler way working with these small prime numbers like 2 and 3. You can see that I've only divided by 2 and 3 throughout this entire process. It's not always going to be like that, but you're going to be using these numbers such as 2, 3, 5, and 7 a lot when using the cake method. It is a much easier way, in my opinion, is the best way of finding greatest common factor and lowest common multiple, especially of large numbers. That is all from me today. Thank you very much for listening. If you enjoyed the video, you can give it a share, and we'll say goodbye from Mathnasium for now.